Hey Dallas, how are you today? We are so lucky today because we have a different perspective on the crisis and how to deal with it. And we're going to gauge a lot of other information from our very special guests today. Power couple, I like to call them. Um, We've got Lindsey Rago and we've got Brian Pickowicz here with us today. They are entrepreneurs in the fitness space, and I cannot wait to hear perspective and gain some knowledge from these two amazing individuals. And video is not new to you guys, so there's lots of opportunities for the audience to be able to engage with you, and we will definitely get into that later because you've got an amazing message and great things to share with regards to physical fitness. So can you guys talk to us from the perspective of what we now know, you're millennials. We looked that up yesterday. I wasn't sure either. I thought maybe you were younger. I wasn't certain, and I'm glad that you're millennials because millennials have a very specific characteristic by a lot of people's standards. But will you talk about the pros and cons, the way that you guys see them with the current condition that we're in?
Yeah, well, I think that right now, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of cons, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that because it's not an easy time, and there's so many things that are in disarray. Essentially, all of our habits and our routines and everything that we valued as people has been shifted in such an opposite way. And there's so many of us who are in these weird situations, especially because of the crisis, that we wouldn't normally be able to be in. And I think that it starts with acknowledging that, like, it's okay that you're not okay. Yeah. It's okay that you don't feel right. It's okay that you're in this position with uncertainty. And then the other flip side of that is then once you acknowledge it, once you accept it, and once you can really establish what is happening, then you can almost breathe out. It's like you're holding on to your breath the whole time when you hear the beginning of this, oh my God, like how bad is it going to get? What's going to happen? And then you can exhale. And I think now that we're all at this point where we're exhaling, we can really start to shift and see what happens next.
Yeah, because there's been so many pros that we've seen, even in the past couple of days, we've been able to acknowledge them. And we have clients who have been writing us very similar messages saying, this is such a time of reflection, and I'm so looking back grateful for this because I wouldn't have been able to focus on myself in the way that I am and observe things about myself that I wanted to change. And now I have the space to change them. And it's like that opportunity to work at home and to kind of have to stay home is just when you embrace it, like Brian said, it becomes a time of reflection and growth. And that's been so powerful, even for ourselves.
Well, it's almost like we're all in hibernation.
Yeah.
And we're all in this hibernation mode, and we all have the time and space and the ability to say, okay, what aspects of life have been holding me back from achieving what I want or making me happy or whatever it is that you want to attach, that peaceful, joyful. And now you can go and address those through the time that you have away from even just thinking about, even if you're working from home, you have time away from driving.
Yeah, that's
you have
true.
time away that you might be going and spending with other people. All these things have kind of gone away. So now you do have the extra time to get healthy, get fit, to read, to work on meditation habits, to work on your consistency, to address something that might be holding you back, or get connected in a way.
Yeah, that's true too.
For me, like I've been spending more time connecting with friends through FaceTime that I wouldn't normally talk to. Family, yeah. And it's like, where are the holes that you feel like you're not fulfilled? And how can you use this time to expand yourself so that by the end of it, you can really be in the best position to be a happier, more fulfilled version of yourself?
I love that. That's beautiful. Fitness for you guys is deep. Like it means a lot to you guys. And I know it's been very impactful in your lives. Can you talk about the impact that fitness has had on your lives? What it means?
Yeah, I think we've both experienced very, very different circumstances based on the start of fitness. And I think it's great to have both. Like I wouldn't be even remotely close to where I am in my lifestyle or in my career if I hadn't started with fitness. So I was on a totally different path. And when I started getting into fitness and Brian actually taught me everything that I knew at the beginning. Still teaches me a lot. But really, he took me under his wing and taught me a lot. And from that space, I built so much confidence that I actually felt like I could decide for myself what I wanted to do with my life. And before that, it was kind of just like taking guidance from whoever sounded like they had a good idea for me and like, oh, your strengths are XYZ. You should go into engineering. You should go into science. And it was like, okay, I'm good at that. So I guess I'll do that. And when I actually dove into fitness and started to take a look at myself, I was able to build a version of myself that I felt confident in physically, but then that translated. And I was like, oh, this is so powerful. I want to teach other people this. And then it was, okay, I'm confident enough. I can take this leap. I know I can do this. Like now I feel like the all-encompassing version of Lindsey that can teach people this, and I can do it. Like I can be successful with this. So I wouldn't be in the same career. I wouldn't be with Brian. I wouldn't be in Texas. We wouldn't be talking. Like none of this would be happening if I didn't decide to take a hold of my own body and my fitness first. Like that was the gateway to everything. So
and for me, so fitness and health, I was always an athlete. I was a 3-sport athlete. I was player of the year for New Hampshire when I played baseball in high school. So like it was always a cornerstone. But what I didn't realize when I got to college was I had all these limiting beliefs and all these limiting factors about what I could accomplish as an athlete. So I held myself back. I said, oh, I'm not going to play sports. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to, be a student. And I had this part of me that said, you really need to go and try this because you don't want to be the person who in 10 years is always regretting it. And there was just a small seed that was there. And so I started training, I started getting active, and I started really getting into bodybuilding. And I ended up trying out for the college football team, played for 2 years, but I was working full time while I was in school. My parents both are sick. My dad has MS and my mom's had cancer. She's had a lot of different other health ailments. And I was working full time while I was going to school. And I realized that the college football thing wasn't for me. I was in D2 school that won like one game. And I was like, this isn't my future. This isn't my passion. But fitness and bodybuilding gave me so much confidence and strength. And when I was in school, I went to school to study politics and business, and I had all these opportunities to connect with high-level individuals. So there was, I was in New Hampshire. That's where we started. And New Hampshire is such a big place for presidential politics. So I was on the Today Show, and I got to debate Donald Trump. I got to meet President Obama. I got to meet all these different people. And what I found is when I grew up, I was always in this position where we didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have money. I had to really work, like I said, 60 hours a week, some weeks just to pay for school. But when I would meet these people, I could connect with them and I could almost
get on their level
mentally because of the confidence that fitness gave me. And so it was just this big empowering thing. And I realized that it just gave me so much life. So I ended up losing 65 pounds, 55 pounds, I think, in 6 months, competing in my first bodybuilding competition. And then that just became my focus. And it allowed me to connect with other people. And what I really realized is that so many of the great blessings in my life happened because I had a lane that kept me anchored towards where I wanted to be. So fitness to us is deeper because it's not just about how you look. I competed in bodybuilding, but it was about how I had an anchor towards something that was positively impacting my life. And when everything else seemed like it was out of chaos or out of disarray, or even as we've grown our business, there's been times where now we don't compete in bodybuilding. So I run marathons, I run half marathons. Some days it's just about going for a walk, but having some way to connect with yourself physically opens the door to allowing you to see that there's so many other possibilities for yourself. And so that's really how we've anchored ourselves to fitness. And that's why when we talk about it, we teach people how to build new habits. We teach them mindfulness and meditation techniques. We teach them all these different things that improve their quality of life and make fitness work, because it's not just about a workout. It's not just about how many grams of carbohydrates you eat or anything like that. Those things play a role, but if you aren't centering yourself and if you can't keep yourself consistent in that other way, then it doesn't really matter, because you're always going to be self-sabotaging. You're always going to be second-guessing yourself. You're not going to have the root of something that's deeper because you're seeing it as an obligation. But if it becomes a lifestyle, and it becomes something that's part of you, then it can truly transform everything. And so that's really for both of us in our own ways. that's really where we stand and how it's been such an impactful thing, because it's given us the ability to level up ourselves. And then you start to look around. It's like I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but there's this allegory of the cave that's an old Greek story. And it's like you stand and you look at the cave and you can only see one part of the cave until you start to raise up in your journey, and you can see that there's other things that are outside of the cave. And as you start to kind of expand your vision of what you can see that there's a whole world out there for you to explore. And fitness kind of gives you that ability to explore those other areas that you might not have realized you can improve on.
Oh, that is so amazing. And you know what? I am a huge fitness proponent. I have many times been on a treadmill led by some of my trainers in a class, and the feeling of I can accomplish anything has oftentimes come over me. So I really connect to that a lot. I believe that, you know, it is one of those things that if you can push yourself through it, then you can push yourself through anything. So I totally, I get it. I absolutely get it. So I love that. Lindsey, we spoke about this, and I know empowering women is something that you stand strong for. Can you talk about the importance to you and how it is that you are impacting women with your business?
Absolutely. I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, where did that start? Why do I care so much about this? And I think there's a few different components. I think it's kind of innately part of me to be like, of course you can do anything. And I give that credit probably to my mom. She's a very powerful woman, but I just have this deep-seated belief that if you believe that you can do it, if you have that core, like, knowing, then you literally can. Like, because I never thought that I could compete in bodybuilding. Like, that would literally not even be a thought. And that was one of my first steps. But it's just, I just have such a passion for teaching women that is true for them, no matter who they are, no matter what their background is, no matter what they believe that they can or can't do. If I can help them find that belief and teach them how to actually execute on that belief, then they can become anything that they want. So I use my business to give them the system to do that. So it's like, if it's through fitness, it starts with understanding what you need, understanding yourself, and seeing that you can create physical change for yourself. And then I usually take women into this like whole journey, and I have a retreat called Empower You, where it's into the next steps of like building that belief further and really anchoring in that. Because that's the core of it all. Regardless of what you choose to do with that empowerment, that like belief in yourself, it doesn't really matter. As long as the belief is there, you could create a business, you could create a body, you could create a beautiful family, you can find excessive fulfillment or beautiful fulfillment, like in whatever you choose to do. But when you have that core belief and you remove anything else that anyone's ever told you or what people say about you or what you say about yourself, you can do anything. And I guess I just get really excited about it, regardless of the vehicle I use to teach women how to do that. It's kind of just teaching them how to tangibly show themselves and prove to themselves that that's true.
I love that. And you connect with people on a deep level very quickly. So I can imagine that you've impacted a lot of women and a lot of people in general. Brian, you are the business guy. I'll say. I know that Lindsey claims that you're the one that pushes forward, and you've got solid goals. Can you talk about that and what your vision is for your company as a whole?
Well, it's interesting because one of the things I've learned from a lot of my great mentors is that you need to have a vision, but you also need to let it go. And you need to be able to be flexible in your approach, because there's so many things that change. It's like a prime example is the whole experience that we're in right now. So what I see for us is just leading a charge of influence for people to reshape their image of fitness and wellness. I want us to have a system in place where we can essentially create these massive transformations in people's lives through fitness, wellness, and really focusing on their personal development. And so right now we're at the point where a lot of what we do is virtual coaching. We do one-on-one sessions. We do group sessions. We have our courses that we offer, and then we do have like the personal training that's kind of built into those one-on-one sessions. That's really where we're at right now, but we're in the process of, we just hired our first assistant coach. We're just bringing other coaches online. So really what we want to do is we want to create a massive movement of people who are, because it's interesting, because with fitness, it's either like really aggressive or really light, but there's no one in the middle.
Yeah, it's like love yourself or get shredded.
Yeah. And it's I think that we're a very big proponent of do really hard things. And just because something falls on this end of the spectrum, like meditation or mindfulness or understanding your hunger cues so that you can improve your relationship with food, those might not sound intense, but they're actually really hard because they require a lot of self-reflection. So what I see for us is creating a movement of people who are pushing forward in their personal lives through their corporations, through their businesses, through their own personal goals, and using our system as their anchor towards who they want to become, because really that's the whole package, is piecing it all together, pulling it all together. And how that comes to be will just be a part of the journey. Right now it's very much we're coaching people one-on-one. Like we have a family that we've lived with before, where we lived with them in their house. And that was an extremely high level experience. But then we also have our virtual programs, and we have our group programs. So it's creating a system where no matter who the individual is, we have the package of program that can solve their challenges. And we have some different thoughts. I see a virtual world that we can create, and really being able to craft a deeper message than just, deeper experience is a better way of articulating it. And how that comes to be is part of the journey. I mean, we've been doing this now for 4 years. I started because we used to be two separate businesses. Now we do this together. So I started as a graduate college with $34 in my bank account. We moved from New Hampshire to Los Angeles. We built the online business. And now, Lindsey had her own women confidence body company, and it's called Rago Fit. And now we've come together in Dallas to build it as a unit. And it's just seeing how that's going to be the new expansion of what we do. But,
there's a lot of different ways that we could go.
Yeah, well, and it's like I said, we didn't know that we would live in Dallas until we had the opportunity to come here and connect with some people that really shaped our lives. And now it's the biggest blessing to be here. So it's painting a picture, but not necessarily knowing. It's having the first brush strokes, having a vision in mind, but
what colors do you use?
You never really know how it's going to come together, or at least we don't right now. And I think that it's having the grace in that process to keep pushing, because the most important thing is that we're helping people every day, and being able to tangibly see how we're changing people's lives. As long as we're doing that, then we're moving in the right direction. And to see the impact that we have on people every day is okay, we're moving in the right direction. Things are coming together. And through our coaching, it makes more sense of what we're continuing to offer.
What's it like working together as a couple?
An experience.
It's an experience. We get better. We've gotten a lot better. It was it's so funny, Carrie, because when we first thought of working together, we were at a weekend conference, and a couple had come up, and the man in the relationship was he was the leader, he was presenting, and then his wife was kind of behind the scenes, taking care of things, talking to people. So I went up to her and I was like, hey, what's it like working together? Because I'm a little nervous. This was 2 years ago or something. And she was like, it's probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do. But when you can find a way to communicate obsessively and constantly, you're okay. And you become very powerful together. And so that was what she said to me. And I will never forget our little back and forth exchange for 20 seconds, because it's been just as challenging or more challenging than I expected. But when we commit to communicating, always, in all things, we are very powerful. At least we feel synergistic, I guess. That's
well, what I would say is it's taken us both a real understanding, and I'll say my own words because I don't want you to be jumped in with me. But it's been a real great experience for us to understand that each one of us has our own strengths and own capacities. And that means that we have to understand and respect that. And I think that that's fallen a lot more on me than anything else. Like understanding that I can't mold Lindsey to be me it took a little bit at first, like understanding like, hey, like I have to rethink, like, because we're in a relationship so much that we're used to communicating like about our relationship in a fairly simple way. But when it comes to business, the way that she sees business is just different. And so being able to separate myself from that has been huge, because then I'm like, oh, wait, I just need to better understand how she sees things and how to explain this from my perspective, and then also see where I'm wrong. Like, because I think like if it is from my perspective, like in a relationship, you tend to guard yourself sometimes, or you tend to almost like try to feel out the relationship. And in business, there's a lot of times where you're very, very, very wrong. And it's not taking it to heart. It's not like it's the difference, because it's not an attack of me if my idea sucks. Right. If my idea doesn't work, then Lindsey says that, and it has literally nothing to do with me. Whereas in a relationship, it might actually have to do with you. And so it's being able to see when that time, like, when are we talking about the relationship? When are we actually talking about the business? Is there a separation of those two things? And are we also spending time intentionally together outside of business?
Right.
Those are some different facets that have been really important for us. And I think, full disclosure, we're also in the beginning of it all too. Like we've made so much progress, and I feel so empowered to be working together. It's just also a part of the journey that we've realized, like, it doesn't ever separate. Like right. It's like there's always going to be a connection there, because if not, then you don't have a business. And then if the business suffers, then the relationship will ultimately suffer. So it's seeing how they're connected, but also seeing how they're compartmentalized in their own way.
Yeah. At least at this time. Because I think over time we'll find our niches personally and like what we love personally, but because the business is so quote like new, we have to put everything into the business as well as our relationship. So it's like there's not necessarily separation right now, even if in time there might be. And there probably will be when we get like further down the road in our lives. It's not always going to be exactly this way, of course, but it's understanding and being okay with that. And being okay with like, yes, right now this is like the big focus of our lives. So we need to put everything into it and be okay with it. So it's been interesting.
It's almost like having your first baby. I mean, really, I really actually mean that. It actually may be even more difficult, because there's so much fear and kind of absurdity to that connects to business. I was actually just talking to my sister about this, that I was watching Sarah Blakely. She's the founder of Spanx, in case anybody doesn't know. And she was talking to Reese Witherspoon about the fact that when she got home from school as a little girl, her dad used to say, all right, to everybody at the family, so what did you fail in today? And like make it this really cool thing to fail. And I think that in business, I think we're also afraid of failure. It sits there all the time. So when you're in it as a couple, there's even more of that pressure on the whole system, because obviously you guys want the best for each other. You love each other. You want to grow together. You want the other one to grow. And it's all kind of sitting on this very precious little, stone right now here. So I get it. I've been in business with my spouse. I understand it. And, it'll get better. It'll just keep getting better. As good as it is now, it'll keep getting better. You both have your own strengths, and that'll be that.
Yeah, and it's not judging the process.
Right.
Like it's like I remember listening. I can't remember which politician, but there's two things you should never see: is like how sausage is made and how a bill is made, because they both are a mess when they take place, and it's kind of like, yeah, this is kind of going to be a little bit of a mess at times, and that's okay. Like,
yeah, it's life.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
and so I think
it's life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I promised everybody that they would have the ways that they could connect with you. Again, I know that you guys are very active on social media. Can you please let everybody know how they can find you?
Yeah, so number one is LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn. It's just Lindsey, Rago, and Brian Pickowicz. If you were to look up the Fitness Project Inc., you would find us too. but LinkedIn is number one, and then Facebook.
Facebook, yeah, or Instagram.
Yeah.
My tag is Brian Pickowicz. That's Pickowicz. And then obviously.
And then mine, I would just search Lindsey Rago because there is no other Lindsey Rago. But my tag name is Rago Bomb, which is not spelled like my last name. So RAYGOBOMB.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. Tune in. They've got some great content out there, some beautiful videos in every category. And you will learn a lot from these two, especially fitness and everything related to that. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your perspective, and I wish you everything great. You're gonna kill it.
Thank you so much. So Likewise. Good to connect with you, Carrie.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, it's been great.
All right. Talk to you soon and see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.